I'm going to start this with a disclaimer. This may come off as a prepared statement, and it kind of has to be. Because I'm quoting a lot of people, I don't want to misquote somebody, I don't want to take them out of context. So that's why a lot of this is going to sound like I'm reading it, because I am. Because I don't want to screw this up. Also, I'm going to try to keep this shorter than the other lecture videos. That's my goal. We'll see how that works out. Alright, so let me describe the entire incident and set one other thing up here too. Okay, there we go. So, the other weekend I was playing at a paintball field, and one player there was using something called an airowgun. If you're not familiar with it, an airowgun is an attachment for a compound bow. It's an air reservoir, a plunger, and a barrel. And as you draw the bow, pull the string back, whatever, it fills the air reservoir with air. When you release it, the plunger compresses the air, shoots a ball out the barrel. Okay, pretty snazzy toy, pretty cool. Well, one of the guys who worked there at the field had one of these things, did not have a barrel blocking device on it. And let me tell you, that took me well out of the experience, because looking down the barrel of a gun, not really good. So, after varying emails and spirited discussions with field owners, players, all that, put up a poll on Facebook, put up a poll on YouTube, asked for your guys' opinion, and one of the people that I heard back from, the APL, the American Paintball League, this is one of the oldest insurance companies in paintball. So I put a lot of stock in what they say, and I'm going to quote the APL directly. Quote, I would currently permit arrow guns without barrel blocking devices at insured fields until or unless the new ASTM standards for projectile toys or ultra-low velocity spring-powered hand-cocking products imposed wording that would restrict the arrow guns. My position is always subject to change if my understanding of a situation improves. Direct quote. So, my personal stance about barrel blocking devices on arrow guns is flawed. Apparently it's allowed. Now I'm going to admit that I do not agree with this, but if it's allowed, I will abide. It's still disconcerting though. It's the same kind of feeling that I got in around, I think it was 2002, sounds about right. I was in Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, and the Weekend Warriors were out. This was right after 9/11, and they had the National Guard at the airports, fully armed. Well, one guy had an assault rifle slung across his back, his hand on the trigger, and as I walked past him, I happened to look down, and I realized I was looking down the barrel of a loaded gun, and the man had his hand on the trigger. The term pucker factor comes to mind. And they were all wondering why I had reacted like I did, which was to dodge my head way out of the way. Completely baffling to them. Same feeling that I get when somebody has an arrow gun or any gun without a barrel blocking device on it. Maybe not as dire, but it's still that same kind of pucker factor feeling. Now, I put up the post on Facebook and on YouTube, and I asked for your opinion. I wanted to hear from you guys. And I really shouldn't be surprised at the bluntness of some of the comments. A lot of people were commenting that, yeah, an arrow gun should have a barrel blocking device, because that's what I asked. Should they have one? And my favorite response to this comes from, Yo, it's Gun Attack. First of all, the name is what kind of drew me to that. He said, quote, depends on the person. Retard equals yes, sensible person equals no. So yes, because we can't filter retards. Welcome to the internet, guys. Now, Mike Phillips made an interesting comment that the arrow gun couldn't shoot a ball with enough velocity to hurt anyone, let alone pluck their eyeballs out, so it wasn't even needed. Now, a lot of people said that it shouldn't have a barrel blocking device. The arrow gun doesn't need one, because the bow has to be actively drawn back so it can't accidentally discharge. So let me quote Stick to Drum. I'm going to his entire post. Quote, the whole notion of doing it out of respect, as in putting a barrel blocking device onto an arrow gun, out of respect is nonsense. What does a superfluous safety device that isn't needed have to do with respect? Other guns use barrel covers for safety to prevent harm to others. That is an issue of respecting a rule based on an issue of safety. The respect thereof is implicit. An arrow gun functions differently, and the idea of safety isn't the same at all. This respect, he puts that in quotes, means that one should keep his mask on all the time out of respect for others off the field. Direct quote from Stick to Drum. A lot of other people argued that it wasn't even necessary. Robot Ninja, no. The same reason holstered pistols should need a barrel blocking device. It's not needed. And from Dustin Little, I say no because I use logic, but to help keep the people who have to have everything black or white, then I would say yes, they need a barrel blocking device just like everyone else. After all, they make the pump and magazine fed guys use them. It was this last one that really kind of made me re-examine worldview once again, because, alright, if the thought is out there that it's completely unnecessary for pump and magazine fed guys to use barrel blocking devices, well, okay. Then what are we left with? We're left with just making the gun mechanically safe. And that's very possible to do. I mean, back in the old days of paintball, that's what we did. After every game, you'd shoot the gun on the ground to clear the gun. No ball in the gun, nobody's going to get blinded. And actually, when you think about it, when you start with pump guns, if the gun's not pumped, there's no ball loaded. No need for a barrel blocking device. If you have a mag-fed gun, you just take the magazine out. No ball, perfectly safe. Mechanical semis. You can disengage the hammer very slowly. Put the hammer forward. You can pull that trigger all day after that. The gun's perfectly safe, right? Let's say you have an e-gun. Even easier. You just turn it off. Take the battery out. You can unpower the gun. Perfectly safe. So with a little due diligence, barrel blocking devices are, in a way, completely unnecessary. If you handle every gun as if it were loaded, you treat the gun with respect, you do everything to mechanically turn the gun off, we're good, right? Here's what the problem is. From 50 to 100 feet away, how do you know? You see a guy walking in the staging area, he's holding the gun by the grip, got his finger on the trigger. How am I going to know if his gun is safe or not? I mean, you got people who can't put the barrel socks on. Do you really expect them to remember to clear the gun, engage the safety, and turn off the gun between matches? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's realistic. It almost seems to me that paintball wants to be more extreme. That they're pushing the safety rules out of existence, and it's going to amp up the danger level by making it more dangerous off the field. We're extreme! It's the only explanation I have for things like ramping guns, because, it makes it look more extreme when you get lit up, right? But that's including all the padding. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's get back to topic. Okay, so when I see something like exotic, arrow guns with no plug on them, that's where my eye goes. Once a ref, always a ref. You see somebody without a barrel sock on, a barrel plug in, your eye just zooms right into that, and you just want to start screaming, hey, put a barrel sock on that. That takes me out of the playing mentality and puts me into a refereeing mentality. And it's really hard to get back into the player mentality, especially when I feel like I'm doing the ref's job. And I've had several incidences where I've had to do that because the referee is completely freaking useless. And there's a lot of people who say, well, you shouldn't care. Just go play. The safety rules are, whatever. If that guy wants to go without his barrel plug on, that's fine. That's not your job to catch that. Sorry, no can do. I've got a lawyer friend, and I discussed a whole bunch of these issues with him, and every time I brought up one of these issues, he just kind of chuckled to himself and said, in law school, we would have taken 2 or 3 weeks to discuss this, and even then, we probably wouldn't have a good answer for you. But it would be one hell of a debate. And one of the issues was, if I'm at a field, and somebody does something unsafe, and somebody else gets injured because of it, if a person says, hey, Tiger was there, he knows what he's doing, he co-wrote the Complete Guide to Paintball, he does all these help videos, he's been playing for 20-something years, why didn't he step in and do something? They could cite me in the lawsuit, and it could stick. Scary thought, isn't it? So that's why this is a concern to me. Now let me bring up some of the other issues that other people have brought up here. Robot Ninja, he brought up holsters. I used to have a PGP in an open holster that I would wear, and I've had field owners tell me put a barrel sock on it or put a barrel plug in it. I actually had a holster made for me that has a closed end, so that I'm basically putting the gun into one really big barrel sock. That's the only excuse. That was the only one I could get. And just take this to extremes, because that's what we do. I've been in scenario games where they require barrel socks on empty barrels. As in, I'm just holding a barrel in my hand. They want a barrel sock on it. They also had a rule that, if you want to barrel tag somebody, you have to actually use a barrel. So that's why these guys are walking around without guns. They just had barrels in their pocket. And I'm going to relate one really old story that I found hilarious. This didn't happen to me. This happened to somebody else. But they're at a paintball field, and a referee comes running up to them and says, "Hey, put a barrel sock on that gun." He holds up his stock class Phantom and says, "There's already a barrel sock on it." The referee says, "No, you got to put a barrel sock on the other barrel." And he's pointing at the top feed tube, the one that's horizontal, the one that's about 10 rounds long. And there was just this look of bewilderment of, seriously, kid? But this is the mentality. I understand about being paranoid about safety. I know I am. Because I like to leave the paintball field in the same physical condition I mostly left it in. I'm willing to trash my knees, but my eyeballs, that doesn't heal. I can't take ibuprofen and heal that. So this really comes down to, let's talk about solutions here for a moment. There's really only one solution, and that is that the insurance says it's okay for people with arrow guns and similar to go around without a barrel blocking device. Then I got to get over that. That's a me thing. Got to abide by what the rules say. It's still going to bother me beyond words to look down the barrel of any gun, let alone if it's safe or not. But if that's the rules, that's the rules. All that I can really do is this. If you're using an arrow gun, I ask you to consider using a barrel sock in the staging area regardless. I understand that it feels like it's redundant safety, but by the same token, it's going to help people like myself who are looking at barrels and you just see an open one and your mind zips right on that. So, I know you don't have to. At this moment, you don't have to, but I would appreciate it. I can also ask that the insurance companies and the ASTM reconsider their stance and require a barrel blocking device on all open barrels on all markers in a staging area. Yeah, it's redundant. But this way, the safety rule is standard across the board. There are no exceptions, and that really is going to help make things easier. It'll standardize everything, and it'll not take somebody out of the playing experience. Of course, I could just be oversensitive, like a lot of people are going to say in the comments section, but you never know. Thanks for listening, guys. I will catch you all later.